Well, tonight we have a surprised guest speaker. I was surprised when I got a call at 5:30 that our regular guest speaker wasn't able to be here tonight. So Hillary asked me if I would fill in. So I started putting a few thoughts together about what to talk about tonight. And not only what I want to talk about tonight, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to hear from at least some of you tonight as well. As you know, in a couple of days, it'll be Thanksgiving. It's a national holiday. We're obviously not the only nation that engages in Thanksgiving. And I've thought about Thanksgiving a lot in my life. I think I started out thinking that Thanksgiving was giving thanks to other people was sort of a social nicety, like, kind of an obligation that I'd have when I would get clothes for Christmas instead of toys, or tools, both of which I really liked. So I started out with a certain sense of Thanksgiving as being a little bit artificial, it's something that you had to kind of social ritual or something. But I think particularly when I came to the Dharma, I started to recognize the ways in which I'm supported by so many people, living and no longer living, that Thanksgiving in a way is a recognition of that connection with all of the people, primarily people that support me in my life. So if I go sort of quasi-chronologically, I give thanks for my parents. They both took care of me in many ways that I didn't really appreciate or feel grateful for at the time, necessarily, but they kept me fed, they kept me housed, they kept me clothed, and they kept me educated. I was in school from the age of 3. I was in preschool all the way through graduate school and when I was 29. So I got a lot of years of education. And through that all, my parents supported me. Some financially, some, I think mostly just by encouraging me. They knew that this was something worth pursuing, even though as a chemistry graduate student, I'm sure they didn't understand what it was that I was learning, but they knew that it was something valuable. So they encouraged me that way. And then, as I said, they made sure that I was stayed healthy and fed, and also looked out for my spiritual well-being, not just my physical and intellectual well-being, but they took me to church, which as a young child I didn't feel particularly thankful for. I could think of a lot funner things to do on a Sunday morning than put on a sports coat and get all dressed up with a tie and these uncomfortable clothes and have to sit still for an hour. But, but they did instill in me a lot of qualities of heart and mind, of ethics, of, if I go through what the Buddha considered were the foundations for practice, even before you start meditating, things like generosity. My parents were very generous. Virtuous, that sense of ethics, of treating other people fairly and kindly, simplicity, renunciation. We didn't have a lavishly appointed house. It was fairly simple, but it was supportive and enjoyable. The need for paying attention, the need for exerting energy, getting strongly encouraged to get out of bed in the morning and face what the day had to offer. Patience, truthfulness, honesty, determination, goodwill towards others, and equanimity. So those are the 10 paramis that the Buddha says or encouraged people to develop before they even started to meditate. I realized that as I looked at that list, those were all qualities that my parents encouraged in me and also modeled for me. So I feel real thankful. I didn't know that they were preparing me to be a Buddhist. Not that those qualities are by any means strictly owned by the Buddhists. I think they're qualities that are probably valued in many, if not all, traditions. And I'm thankful for the larger family that I had, my grandparents. We'd spend every Sunday night with them. Gave us many books and experiences. My brother and sisters, my aunt. I realized that I really had I'd say I don't know exactly how to say, a non-dysfunctional family. They're quite functional. The friends that I had, I've had a whole series of friends starting from, before I started school, from kindergarten through grade school and high school. College brought me a whole another set of friends. Graduate school brought another set. Getting married brought me another set. Getting divorced brought me another set. Going to work. And then coming to IMC has brought me in contact with a whole nother set of friends and people who have supported me, have given me a sense of being appreciated, heard. And many friends have come and gone, and I've seen changes to a certain extent in the people that are around me, but I still have a friend from kindergarten that I've remained friends with for, well, I don't know, 65 years now. I'm thankful for my health. I've been fairly healthy. And when I haven't been, I've had the resources to get the needed procedures and surgeries for detached retina and stents in my heart, and things like that. So those are some of the, I'll say, almost ordinary things of life that I feel thankful for, that I think everyone has had some experience with. And in addition to all of those things, I feel real grateful for this practice, this practice that the Buddha uncovered or realized and passed down for approximately 100 generations. I went through it's called the refuge class that's offered here every couple of years. And at the end of it, there's a ceremony where Gil would hand each one of us a little parchment that had a list of, I don't know if it was an entire list of every single teacher, but kind of represented all of the teachers going back approximately 100 generations to the Buddha. And so I can say that I'm thankful that, first of all, that the Buddha decided after he saw what was possible for a human being to realize and what level of freedom could be experienced. He had to make a choice whether he was, I think at first he didn't even believe that anybody could learn this. He figured, this isn't even teachable. But he did, the story goes, have a discussion with a enlightened being, I think a god or a deva, that he should teach. And because of that, he taught, his students, and that got passed down and passed down and passed down, and ended up with people like Gil and Andrea, Joseph Goldstein, Jack Kornfield, and many other teachers. And I guess it was almost 25 years ago that I came to IMC. I was 45 at the time. And even though I had quite a good life, as all of the things that I had described, I had been well supported, I had been well educated, I was in good health, I had a good job with NASA. And yet I recognized there was just some lingering dissatisfaction. Something that I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I couldn't quite tell you why I was dissatisfied. All the indicators were that, you've got it together. But I knew that there was something off. There just was. This wasn't. There was some restlessness, some lack of peace or contentment. And so when I walked into the IMC meetings, which at the time were in Palo Alto, The first talk I heard was Gil talking about the Four Noble Truths and talking about the truth of suffering. And it was that night that I recognized I've come to the right place. This is the place to be. This guy's talking about exactly what I'm experiencing, this suffering. And not only that it's worth paying attention to, but that there's a cause for it, there's the possibility of the ending of it, and that there's this eightfold path. There are things to be done, to be cultivated, to be pursued in some ways, to bring an end to this suffering. And I can't tell you exactly how I came to IMC almost on a whim. You know, somebody had told me about Spirit Rock, and from looking at their website, I found a link to IMC. IMC happened to be 10 minutes from my house. And so I came and I sat and I listened to Gil, and I and I saw, oh, this is the practice. This is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of practice, the potentiality that I want to spend the rest of my life pursuing. So it's hard for me to just express how much gratitude I have that not only for Gil, who's a wonderful teacher and has really helped me a long ways, but then all the other teachers that he exposed me to. I'd say maybe 50% about half the time he would give a talk on a Monday night, and about half the time it would be somebody from Zen Center, somebody from Spirit Rock, lay people, monastics, people from a wide range of backgrounds and experiences that presented the Dharma in ways that seemed very different and sometimes almost at odds with what I had heard the week before, but yet gave me a sense of just what the breadth of what practice can encompass. So in some ways, coming to IMC 25 years ago, brought an awareness to me of the first refuge, the Buddha. Not that I had developed anywhere near the level that the Buddha had to be as free as he was able to become, but that was a potentiality. The years and years of talks like this, the Monday night talks that I've been attending, well, really for almost 25 years, except when I'm out of town. Books, sutta studies, residential retreats. There's just so many ways in which the practices that the Buddha taught have been presented to me, and I've been mentored in. I'm grateful for all of those teachers and mentors. The third refuge is the Sangha. And really, at first, I didn't really recognize what... I thought the real important thing was the teacher, having a good teacher. And I think after about the first 6 months that I was at IMC, I came up to Gil and I said, I really want to, get ahead in this practice. I want to meet with you at least, like once a week or once every 2 weeks. And he didn't laugh, like you all are. I think he took me seriously, but also it was clear that he has so much that he does that wasn't really a possibility. But what he told me was that one of his teachers at Zen Center had told him many years ago, when he, I think, sort of said the same thing to his teacher. It might have been Mal Weitzman. That some large fraction of what you're going to learn from your peers. You're going to learn from sitting with other people like we are tonight, and talking about practice. What are you seeing? What insights are you having? What struggles are you having? It was one of the things that was said to me over and over early in my practice when I was doing a lot of retreats, was that we don't do this practice for ourselves alone. So there's some way in which, although nobody but us can sit and close our eyes and pay attention, I mean, there are things that we have to do, only we can do, that the benefit of it and the result of it isn't limited to this being I call me, that there's very much a interaction between me and the other people that are part of my Sangha. So at this point in time, there's 3 groups that I'm part of. There's one that meets once a month, one that meets every 2 weeks, and one that meets every week. And in both the talking and the listening in those Kalyanamitta groups is where a lot of the insight and the strengthening of qualities can occur, and a lot of the encouragement, a lot of the inspiration. So that's Sangha. So I'm, on this Thanksgiving week, I don't know whether it's karma or dumb luck that I was able to come across IMC when I did, right when I was looking for what it had to offer. But I'm really thankful for the teachers, the Sangha, and the teachers going all the way back to the Buddha. The other thought that came to me this evening around Thanksgiving and around recognizing and expressing gratitude is that it isn't that it's a little bit like a form of mindfulness. It's remembering those things that happened that support us, that have supported us maybe today or yesterday or earlier this week or this month, this year, this lifetime. It's not necessarily a feeling or just a feeling, but gratitude, I think, is also an ability to remember and recognize those things that support us and connect us with other people. One of the practices that I've heard about in regards to gratitude is some people will keep a gratitude journal. So they'll have a journal oftentimes next to their bed, and either just before they go to bed at night or maybe when they wake up in the morning is writing down things that you remembered that you're grateful for, that supported you. You know, it could be something like just the way somebody smiled at you today. You know, some small gesture of goodwill, or whatever it is. That's one particular way that this quality, this strength of this muscle of gratitude can be developed. I think it's also helpful to not just recognize it internally, but also to express it verbally. I mean, maybe not all the time, but I've had this practice for about the last 15 years of when I get food or get drinks from Starbucks or something like that, I always like to thank the person that's made whatever it was for me, and also give them some tip. But I'm often surprised at how surprised some people are when you just thank them for making you a hot chocolate. Just that recognition that there's some connection there. So that's as much as I've prepared for tonight. But I would like to offer each one of you the opportunity to express what you might be grateful for. So this isn't you're not obligated to say anything, but this is your opportunity to, just express, share with us some thing or some things that you can remember from today, or the last couple of days, or whatever length of time it is, that you've been gifted. So I don't know, Sveta, if you could, if you feel moved, raise your hand and Sveta will bring the microphone.
Thank you, Jim. First of all, I am thankful for your practice and for being, it's a pleasure to be in the same Sangha with you and to practice with you. And I think you're a great model for equanimity. And thank you for filling in for tonight. I did also want to say that I am grateful for my relationship with Indigenous people who this particular holiday is problematic for. And I extend my love and respect to them and for the conflict it presents for them. And I just want to recognize that on their behalf.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yes, well, thank you also for the surprised talk. But yeah, so I'm just, this is the fourth time I've been here to IMC on a Monday evening, and I'm happy I found it. I used to sit a long time ago at Canando for a few years, but then I was looking for a place I could get to that was on the Caltrain, and this was perfect. So I'm really enjoying it so far. So.
Great, thank you.
I'm grateful to be to hear your talk and recognize the heritage that we've inherited, why the lineage, and the relationships that you've built and that are available. As I look at wanting to feel connected with friends and see the ones that are there for me, because there's been a death in the family, and I really do have that need for people reaching out and those relationships. And I know in this community, that's the priority, is relationships and growing together. So to me, that's heartening that it's a priority.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for your share. I have come on and off to IMC, and I happened to come Sunday, and both your share and that one were very connecting for me. Particularly the concept of change came up, and I think the fall season is really one where we really see visually change. And I got a lot out of the realization that that's one thing that will always be happening, and gave me the insight to realize that there's a little struggle for me a lot of the time about change, and that if I can remain compassionate with my resistance, but then be aware of it, that I can let it be exactly what it is. And so thank you again. Very, very nice of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for a great session and also sharing your experiences. I'm very grateful to be here, to be part of this group. In particular, when I see you, you remind me of Gregory Peck of Indian theater, wearing a red top and the black trousers, and Johnny Mera Naam, Guide is one movie with a Polish novel based on Polish novel Guide from 1966. And I grew up in a rather modest setting where access to TV or entertainment was limited. But today I'm grateful that just with a click of a button on the internet, any child throughout the world, through the invention of internet and cell phone technologies, they can see, watch movies and musicals and songs featuring individuals like you and whatnot. And in one Prem Pujari, that is another movie where he goes on to talk about Buddha's preaching ahimsa paramo dharma, and there also he is wearing this red top. So what I'm grateful for is for all the people around the world. All the children that they have access to internet and access to the entertainment or music or movies or theater or whatever, or news or whatever, by the invention of internet. And also keeping the cost down, so it's affordable for most people. But if it is even more affordable and accessible, I will be even more grateful and being able to share that with other people. So that joy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, Gregory Peck is my favorite actor. So that was quite a compliment for me. Jamie?
Thank you. Yeah, in the meditation before this, I was sitting here and I have a lot of difficulty keeping on the object of meditation. My mind is often going off somewhere, and I guess lately I've become a little bit more equanimous about that, and so I just sort of, when awareness comes back, I just note what's going on. And in the meditation before this, when awareness came back, I was often thinking about how warm and cozy I felt, not just because I'm bundled up and wearing gloves, but also just feeling very secure in this place and with these people around me. So I'm very grateful for this place and all of the volunteers that help maintain it, and everybody that comes here to practice and sort of makes this a warm and cozy place spiritually as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like what you said, and I want to echo that, the warm, fuzzy feelings here. Jim, I'm so impressed. You got a phone call at 5:30. Now it's 7:30. You have to give a Dharma talk. That's a wonderful Dharma talk. Thank you. I appreciate somebody said earlier, all this service people, always see Nancy right sitting in front. You walk in, just so happy to see you, Nancy. Then Sveta is over there helping us to do the recording. And I cannot say more about Buddha's teaching, because each one of you shared is really touching. And each of us take what we can nourish us and help us to go to move forward in our life. And to me, seems like it takes layers. I have to get on a certain level to see there's additional teaching that I can comprehend. And this environment, this IMC is so precious. There's no pressure, it's very relaxed. It's whatever that we can be nourished and learned. And I just so appreciate it. And thank you, Jim, for giving us this opportunity to reflect, what does Sangha offer to each of us? And everybody's different. And that's what's great about Buddha. We learn, we practice, and learn based on our own experiences. Not, it's an inside out. It's not an outside in practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. We have a couple more minutes. Is there anyone else that would just like to say anything?
At the risk of being a little bit of a buzzkill, I wanted to say that I'm grateful for the folks here and out on YouTube who find it very difficult to go through the holidays, like both Thanksgiving and the rest of the season. And those who find it difficult to remember when the last time they had something to be grateful about was. I just wanted to say that I'm grateful for you. And in the Rinzai Zen tradition, there's a practice of looking at koans, which are like sort of inscrutable puzzle questions. And for a lot of us, these times kind of present themselves as a koan to work through. Yeah, and I hope you keep pushing to figure out what the answer is.
Thank you, Sage. There's something that, there's a Tibetan teacher that I listen to every other Sunday, Anam Thubten, and the last talk from about 2 weeks ago was about welcoming what challenges us. So there's always the possibility of being thankful for the challenges. I think we don't always welcome them, but they hold potential. So, okay, well, thank you all. I've really enjoyed hearing what you had to say, and yeah, have a good week.